Finding my story was something that I allowed to happen to me as opposed to something that I chased, which is where it started. I started to explore storytelling as marketing, and that started sometime in probably 2016 or so. And I'd already built my virtual business, which I started in 2012, mostly on LinkedIn and through networking. And as that business worked, I wanted to evolve it. And the idea was move from lead generation and prospecting for clients to pipeline development, pipeline management, and eventually closing assist. And the idea of story became important, but the clients didn't want to do that. And I didn't go there, but I went there personally myself as I noticed the personal branding industry starting to really take off. And I wondered, how are they doing this? And as I tested out and started working through all these different uh, marketing methods, I realized the power of just telling the story. And where I went wrong didn't get fixed really until 2023, if I'm going to be honest with myself about it. The difference between authentic story and marketing authenticity explains the difference. It's about intent, but also impact. If I'm sharing real experiences with the intent to be to sell a online product or a service business, which is what's going on behind the scenes. So the motivation that I had was I wanted income from the marketplace using storytelling to get that income. Now, many have fallen into that trap. It wasn't just me because I was following. That's the point. What I was doing was I was trying to put out how-to content to get business from it. And I remember I even started to brand this and I thought, what can I do with this? And I hosted a Clubhouse group and I brought in guest speakers, not guest speakers, guest panelists. And the idea was sales pipeline, sales pipeline, sales community, and it got to community. So my pipeline then became, in my mind, my community, and I could convert that community through becoming an authority in their mind and make money. And that detour from what actually works went on for a few years. And I didn't get out of it until early 2023. And I really didn't understand storytelling until I found my stories. Real results come from authentic stories. And when I stopped selling how-to systems based on storytelling approaches, and I started sharing real experiences, I became part of what I'm now thinking of as the experience sharing economy, which is the next economy that's forming in the market right now. And if I really get serious and I think about how do I do this, it's critical for me to get away from recycled fluff. And most products that I see in the market right now, and I saw this on Substack yesterday, I went through the business category. Substack's getting really good. And I'm looking at business and I went down and I looked and I'm like, this sounds eerily the same. And I'm like, is there anything unique in this business category? And I can't find it. I'm like, no, there isn't. But I looked at other categories and I'm like, yeah, this is a lot of unique stuff out here on Substack, but where is it in the business category? And I can't find it. And I thought much of what's pushed doesn't really matter to the buyer or the seller because they fell into the same trap or are still in the trap that I fell in from probably 2020 to 2023. So that's 3 years and 150 grand invested in it. It was marketing a product for profit as the intent, and the impact of that is division in the market. So now I'm the guru if I succeed, and the audience are the followers who are gonna buy from me. And I thought, "This is not how people succeed. This doesn't work." And, why do the people who actually succeed, why are they the exception, not the rule? And I thought, "That's about to change because I see it happening all around me everywhere." And it is happening on Substack, but not in the business category. Business is almost last, usually, to come around. It's kind of interesting. It's like porn is first. I don't know why they're so innovative. The impact is not exactly super positive, and I think their intent is not always so great, but they're really innovative. And I think it's because they're outlaws to begin with, so they're outside the bounds of any kind of conventional thinking, which is why they can be entrepreneurial. And then you see the same thing in places like the casino industry. I remember years ago when I was selling marketing analytics, the best in the world at it were the casinos in Vegas. And I was talking to Caesars, I think it was their head of marketing, about this analytics approach I was trying to sell. And he's like, "We already do that better than you do." And I realized he was right. You know who else was good at it? The airlines, the online travel agencies. And I'm trying to sell analytics to online travel agencies, and they can teach me a master course in it. So I go back to our chief technology officer and I'm look what they're doing. And he's just like, "You're competing against their internal department. They're never going to buy anything." And he was right. They're already there. Original innovation comes from need. It comes from the struggle of wrestling with something over a long enough period of time and taking action in the marketplace where you figure it out. And the reason online travel got so good at analytics is because it's extraordinarily complex. The data in travel is really complicated. It's even more complicated than like lead gen and financial services or e-commerce, significantly more complicated. So they had to do it. They had to figure it out. What do casinos all about? Casinos have addicted customers and they need them to keep coming. And if they don't, they're going to lose to the other casino. And they have no filters, none, unless the government makes some filters. They're going to do it. They're going to innovate. And I actually talked to the chief marketing officer of Playboy.com when I was selling search optimization and content optimization, wisdom of crowd strategies. And he was interested, but he didn't buy it because they didn't need it. But he wanted to know what was going on in the market. You don't find that in a lot of companies. You can't get a conversation like that with a chief marketing officer. They are focused on their metrics. They're not innovative. So you have to understand the few who succeed as originals are the exception. Now I'm using some strange examples, but it's I've seen this in retail, I've seen it in content, I've seen it in coaching. Real value comes from real experience. Be a creative original, not a content creator. Putting how to look at it. Does it all sound the same? If it sounds the same, it's not a story. It's a manufactured, constructed story. A story is real. And I'm not talking about winning in porn or winning in getting people that addicted to gambling. Now, cannabis, obviously, they're doing the same thing. They're upping the THC in the cannabis because their regular customers are providing most of their income are addicted to the cannabis. Is every industry works like this. McDonald's works like this. I remember being in meetings at McDonald's in the 90s, and I went to their owner operators meeting, and this they talk about it. They're like they call it the super heavy user. What's the fast food industry doing? They're competing against people who eat fast food all day long. How do we get them to buy our Super Baconator Whopper with extra cheese? What is the intent of the business? To sell more of that stuff. What's the impact of it? Well, addicted customers. Fox News works the same way. Addicted customers. They're stuck in this constant opinion churning. Where else is that happening? Social media audiences. And if you're going to succeed, consider knowing your story. And my story surprised me because I realized the story I make up about myself wasn't true. And I'm going to talk about 5 ways to start to do this. It's a big part of what we're doing on the Entrepreneur Experience Campus is figuring out how to ditch formulaic content for real lived insight. This is the experience sharing economy. And the experience sharing economy requires something I call flexible founder mode, which means you have to know what your vision is. You don't go find your purpose. Your vision leads to purpose-based living, which comes from knowing your story. What never goes out of style? Your story. And sharing truth instead of tricks is the bridge. So tricks, epiphany, bridge story, story brand, story is brand, marketing persuasion, build an audience and make income from the audience leads towards what's next, which is creative originality, which is sharing truth. Intent matters a lot, but so does impact. It has to line up. Where does the intent come from? It comes from knowing myself. That's part of the work. Then what happens? You're going to attract customers who want more than shortcuts. This is why that old model doesn't work, because you're going to attract customers who want shortcuts. You're not telling them your real story. You're figuring out what will attract them so they buy from you. Eventually, they'll stop coming because they'll find somebody else who'll lie to them too. So build trust by telling stories that actually matter. And who does it matter to? Me. Your story has to matter to you, or it's not a real story. So you have a choice. You can grow your business from purpose, or you can grow it from fame. That seems to be the main choice today. And growing a business that's purpose-driven from fame is not the same as growing a business from purpose. Constructing a story in the market to market your product is not the same as creating a product or a business from purpose that is attractive to other people who care about the purpose because of their own purpose. Not because they see me as the blue pill. And this may surprise you, not because they see me as the red pill either. I'm not a drug dealer. My name is not Morpheus. You are your own Morpheus. And that is the lesson from that movie, The Matrix. It's one of them. Real stories connect, marketing creators fade. It's going to happen. It's going to fade. So you get there and you're not anywhere because you don't know your own story, because you've been focusing on popularity. And you're attracting other people who are doing the same, but looking for an answer. So they see themselves as down here in the audience and they see you up here as the knowing guru. And the issue with that, I found, is there's no connection in that. So it can't lead to a connected group or a connected community that people care about. They'll be there temporarily until they need another pill to feel better. That's not a good business model. It doesn't last. That's what I realized. I'm like, why am I doing this? I already have a business. I didn't remember why. because I forgot my story because I never knew it in the first place. And I started in my 20s. So I did 2 pathways, the inner journey pathway and the business pathway, and they all connected now in 2023 with the red pill pathway. And the beginning was I wanted a lifestyle first, and I knew I had to pay for it. I didn't have a trust fund. Thank God. I had to pay for it. So I had to do something I didn't want to do, sell children's clothes, and I succeeded. And I built a new kind of business using branding. Content curation is what it was. I curated product for the marketplace, and the business took off. Now I'm number one in our niche, but I wasn't doing it to get popular in the market or to succeed in business. I was doing it because I didn't want to work all the time. No, I didn't. No, that's not why. I didn't even consider working all the time. It wasn't an option. It was, um, I want to have a life. And I did. And then it went away. I worked myself out of every job. And then I thought, now I got to get good at something because I'm not good at anything. And I believed that story. I'm not good at anything. It's not a real business. It's a mom and pop business, children's clothing. It's not real. Everybody I knew was like an attorney or an economist or like had a real job, marketer, worked at, PepsiCo, or I'm like, I got to do that. So I went after that and I got it, but not the corporate side. I sold to those people. So all my customers were people that went to like Kellogg. So they knew how to sell sugary cereal to people who shouldn't but eat it, which is the industry. Particularly back then, consumer packaged goods was a big deal back then. Now it's gone in terms of celebrity popularity. Now it's popular technology. But is it? Is it? What do you love? I met a guy, we went skiing in Italy, and he was with the whole group. We went skiing in Italy, Bormio. I was like, let's go skiing in Italy. And we went because I had a lifestyle business, so I could do stuff like that. Did I have millions of dollars? Kind of, but it didn't matter. I just want to go skiing in Italy. So we did. And this guy sold scales, not fish scales, like scales you weigh yourself on. He was a marketer. He didn't go to Kellogg. He went to like a second tier school, DePaul in Chicago. He would love marketing. He was great at it. He talked about it for hours. And it was great for me because I'm trying to sell to marketers. So immediately I'm networking. I'm like, can you get me into your company? He worked for some kind of consumer package. They owned a company called Sunbeam, I think it was. And he's selling scales basically. And he loved it. And I had other friends that did stuff like this too. One guy sold meat for Boar's Head, or I don't know what it was, Oscar Mayer, who knows. And then he got into cool stuff, cell phones. Worked for Motorola, Walmart, Sam's Club, and he got big time, like president of a company. And I'm like, I'm just like customer to fund my passive income lifestyle. I didn't even know what these things were called. I just did it. And I got into business corporate sales and I succeeded at it. And I built relationships with big corporations by calling them a lot. Got to take action. What was my story? I told myself the story I wasn't successful because I wasn't on the client side. I got friends who were like running companies or divisions, and I'm the guy making the cold calls, and I'm the one trying to get the deal. And I felt like, oh, was I doing seven-figure businesses? Yes. I looked at that as failure. It's a bullshit story. It's not true. It's a massive success. I've been a massive success my whole life, and I told myself I wasn't often. In other words, I told my apparent self I was a success to construct a story that you would believe. And I believed it too. Underneath, I didn't believe it. That's what I'm trying to say. How do you go underneath? That's part of the work. That's how you get to purpose. You go underneath and you say, what is my real story? And my real story is that I found my purpose inside, know how to realize a vision from imagination in the marketplace through massive action and innovate in the market. I've been doing it for my entire life. I didn't think it was a real job. And I started a virtual company in 2012 because I noticed in the marketplace after I was selling AI marketing analytics, I was part of the emergence of the marketing industry, the ad networks, Google, Facebook, all of it. But I didn't work in any of those companies. So I told myself I wasn't a success. I went to every single conference they were speaking at. And then all of a sudden, I got it. And I could see across all these industries. That's your gift. The gift emerges. I didn't tell myself the story. Wow, I'm good. I had a mentor who said, "You're the best in the world at what you do." And I was like, "What is that?" He said, "I have no idea." But I didn't believe him. I wanted to believe him. I told myself I believed him, but I didn't. The inner work started for me in 2011. Now, I've done mindset work my whole life. I've done group work. I've done not control your mind, but manage your thoughts. I've done that work since the 90s. But the real deeper work, what's called shadow work, I didn't start until 2011. That's when you start to find your story. The story is in your body. It's very unusual how this works, but it's useful to know because real stories connect, marketing creators fade. You want to be invincible today in the market, you have to know what your story is. I don't think there's another way. But it is the best way because it is the way. Walking with the Wu way, walking with the Wu Li masters. That's what we're talking about here. Now, anyone can do this. You just have to be honest with yourself about your own story. And there's some feelings that are going to come up, believe me, some thoughts that you may not like, and some resettling in your body and your physical infrastructure to allow the energy to flow better. So I'll talk about inner development quick. Inner development just means paying attention to the reality inside you, truth. It's called my truth. It's called your truth when you're the one saying it. It's not my truth for you. It's your truth for you. What is that truth? Yeah, it beats me. How do you get to it? What is a human being? What are we? Are we the sum of our AI? Our own intelligence, artificial intelligence? Are we the same as the artificial intelligence? Of course not. We are part of it. Of course, because everything's interconnected in a moment in time. What is going on in that moment in time? Creative intelligence is in a field. Our mind enters the field. The intelligence is in the field mind connection. Wow, look, I got hearts. The brain is in the way. So the thinking processor doing this is in the way of archetypal identification connection to the field of thought that transcends the limitation of my narrow perspective of thinking. The AI is not getting me there. The AI, as I get there, can become more conscious creatively through me teaching it what I find in those archetypal planes of intelligence, creative intelligence. Now, that's not good enough. Surprised? Me too. The emotional field works the same way. There's an emotional field too of pain, fear, and suffering. What is my job? To take those emotions and alchemically transform those into freedom pathways. If I allow myself to wallow, we called it wound worshiping. Think about this, wound worshiping. It's an obsessive attention on emotional frequencies of fear. Figuring it out, therapy, Therapy figuring it out after you're done with therapy. Therapy was useful for me, and then I had to end it and go into shadow work. Now I've ended shadow work and I'm working in the gene keys because it evolves. Now I'm doing the Bruce Lee work, water method, inner development expressed through martial arts movement. I'm doing that too. I'm doing all of these things that fit me. Find what fits you and do it. And the stories will come as you do it. There's another plane. So the emotional plane, floating in the feeling of invincibility and freedom, is what happens when you're able to face your own fear through the field of fear emotion that is part of collective consciousness. The intelligence is not just in me. The intelligence is in the genetic connecting infrastructure. In that emotional field that surrounds me, I have to enter it to get free of it. That's what people don't want to do, which is why they're so busy. Now, the physical body is the next layer deeper. The physical body is the blocks. The self-realization system, which is the raising that what they call the Kundalini energy. And there's like a thing here, and then it goes in this triangle. It's got this whole pathway, happens automatically when you're ready. And these little things called chakras, they're everywhere. Your whole body's intelligent. They start spinning, and then there's levers that go up and down. It's insane. I'm doing it on walks with the dog. I'm like, what's going on? No idea. Keep going. My training for that was a martial arts style called Tai Chi, anchored in what's called the Sao method. Our teacher called it the older brother method. And I'm like, what older brother? He says, you don't need to know that. And then I found a book from, it took me almost 5 years to get him to show me what he was teaching me, what it was actually called. He was a Mr. Miyagi, mysterious. And when I got to that, it was only the beginning, because there's the emotional field, there's the mental field, and there's also this physical field as well. Then what? Bring it in the world in the form of a company, vision, from interconnected purpose with the people you're here for, around shared desire, and a real product as a creative original. And you're never going to have to work again a day in your life.